hormones. Because I've seen...
And you're proud of that.
Yes, I am very proud of that.
I'm so ashamed of you.
Because I had who I testified with, who their experience was a double mastectomy.
Let him speak. Conservative gay against liberal gay. Let's go.
The LGB should be separated from the TQIA+.
I think it should. It's gender and identity. The identity is confusing.
Saying they should be separated is not saying that one is, less important.
True.
Yeah.
So I do want to start with that. But I do think that the LGB is very specific, rooted in science. It's very clear as day.
For kids too?
Lesbian, gay, and bi. Main difference between male and female, we all know what that is.
The reason why I stepped forward with hesitation was because I think that there are such lived differences in experiences that we experience. Although collectively I think that we all know the collective experience of being a sexual deviant. There just is a difference in lived experience that I think is important to talk about and acknowledge, and that's my grounds for agreeing with perhaps a separation.
Mine is very different. To be clear, the science is very solid on identities other than gender assigned at birth being valid. Science is very clear, robust, there is no question that it's legit. We, as cisgender people, do a really bad job of standing up for people who aren't cisgender.
First of all, that's your experience that cis people are not covering for certain people.
Out the fact that cisgender queer people are treated differently than non-cisgender queer people, and until we do better, we don't deserve to have the letters be together.
And that is your lived experience. Because in my experience, they are treating other people way better than the LGB.
So, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, but I think in general this conversation can become very hostile because it seems like, I'm like, oh, I don't want you to be a part, like I don't want you to be my friend, I don't want to be with you, be next to you, be seen with you, and that's not the case. One is an identity and one is a sexuality. And that's just the simple difference between the two. Eventually, as both groups are fighting for their own personal interests, those are going to not work cohesively. So one is going to be quieter and one is going to get taken advantage of, etc. And it's not that we can't support the TQ+.
Right.
I just think that they're two vastly different things.
I think that you oversimplify identity versus sexuality, though, because there are tons.
It's like, I don't know, I think he is a hidden angry person.
Of men who identify as straight, who have, on occasion, with regularity, once in their life, sex with men.
And bi.
They're bi. I think once with men, sure, experimenting, but I think if there is a guy that's identifying as straight that sometimes dabbles with men,
He might identify as straight, but he's not.
You're bi.
So two things. First of all, there are...
I know too many men that just got drunk and just one day be like, you know what, f*** it. I know men that were so horny they didn't get anything and they said, f*** it. I know men that always wanted to be with a man and they were married and they said, f*** it. I don't know the reason, I don't know the trauma, I don't know anything. All I'm saying, let people explore something without putting them always in a box. Because the fact that you try to put them in a box is many times the reason why they don't even explore it. Because if I do it one time, even as an experiment, everybody gonna be bi or tell me that I'm gay.
There are lots of gay men that we can call gay all day and all night that occasionally have sex with women, and we don't question whether or not they're gay.
They're bi.
But are you entitled
I know.
to titling
Met one.
someone else's?
Is
that up to you?
The title is an objective fact. If you sleep with men and women, then you are bi.
What if someone that you were
I don't care
talking
what
about
you
doesn't
feel.
agree?
Yeah.
If you don't
That
agree,
doesn't
that's
make
fine.
sense.
But the fact is, you sleep with men and women, so you're bi.
Flat out.
Can we not talk about who we're having sex with?
And he brought it up.
Just for this prom.
Because a lot of what's in the media today is sensationalized content about, targeting children. A lot of it is valid, and some of it is not. But a lot of times, it's gay men that are doing it, and trans people are getting blamed for it when it's really gay men in drag. Right. And because the letters
I
are
never
together,
thought about that. That's a
people
good
don't
point.
know the difference. And
That's a good
even
point.
when I first started coming out, the first thing that somebody said to me was, "Are you going to transition into a woman?" I'm like, wait, what? Yeah. That has nothing to do with my sexuality. There's nothing wrong with doing that, but because they're together from an outsider's point of view, optically, I think if our goal is to educate the populace on who we are, then we need to make a more clear distinction between LGB and TQ+.
No, I don't disagree. I think it's just important that if we do that, we don't erase any of the validity of the people who are in the group that we're not a part of. And also, what I wonder about in this context is some people are born intersex, so they have sexual organs.
Come on. Nobody really knows what's intersex. You can be a woman on the outside, but you still have the balls because your body didn't modify good in the belly of mommy. Or you might have the testosterone so that you can run like a gangster. And nobody knows what kind of parts you have down there sometimes, because they don't even know about that lady because he rejected it. That's why she's not allowed to run in the Olympics. But the point is, the part that you have down there, use it as a masculine way or a feminine way. It's your choice.
How do we identify under the criteria you guys have identified? How would we label them? Because if they have both and they have sex with only one gender, what are they?
It's such a rare case. I'm not
but
saying
it does
they don't
exist.
I don't.
And that is why they get nothing done, because they always focus on the rare case. But I'm like, bruh, if they have both, let them decide what they want to be. But no, we got a bunch of people to say, you know what? I'm indecisive, so call me queer. But then back in the day, calling somebody queer was offensive. I'm like, bruh, it never stops.
I think the exception makes the rule.
Yeah, like there's people born with 11 fingers.
I think as human beings, we like to package things that we can develop a palate for. We like to make things more palatable. We like to establish clear-cut rubrics for what is and what isn't a person. I think that's just the natural human tendency.
That's how our brain categorizes.
But I think that, you know, what separates us from the apes is that we can give credence to these differences and create pockets of space, at least for...
And that's why we live in a society that we overthink everything and we suffer from depression, because we don't have purpose in life, because we need people to acknowledge us to have purpose.
I think it would be an incredible disservice to the transgender community, who gave us a lot of the beginning for us to fight for our rights, a separation from them.
You
now
sure?
That we have our rights. That's just so privileged of us. Like Marsha P. Johnson threw that first brick at Stonewall, and because of her...
She didn't throw the first brick.
Or the second.
She got there at 2 a.m., first of all. And second of all, Marsha P. Johnson was also a gay man. So when she was fighting for those rights, she was fighting for gay rights because she was gay.
I totally agree. Because of the time that it was.
She didn't transition until long after Stonewall actually happened. But that's neither here nor there.
No. They are talking about a person that was gay that did something. Ooh, let's obfuscate a bunch of letters together and be like a trans person. No. It's like they have to be friends with everybody, and if you're not, you're the enemy. And when you're friends of everybody, it seems also you're your own enemy too.
I'm here to defend the TQ being part of the LGB. Yes, there are some gay men that will overlook what's underneath the belt. That happens. But to say that you have to like them, that's wrong. And I also have a heart for the Q, because we can't clearly define the Q. When I was young, it was questioning. Now it's queer. Queer was a slur once upon a time. But I look at those people who were former homosexuals who now live a heterosexual lifestyle. They're never going to be accepted by the straight community, and they're not going to be accepted by our community.
And that is evil.
I put them under the Q umbrella. Those straight people who do have sex with the same gender on occasion, they would fall under that Q. They may not fall under the B. So I have a heart for them because they do exist in our spheres. We just can't put them on a pedestal above any of us because we're all in this together.
But I think also, as he suggested, it will change with time. So you're also going to get generation that think different about the same letters, and whatever thing we change in life, we're going to hurt somebody.
I don't think that they should be divorced because I'm a huge disability advocate. I have a mental health condition. It's very different from someone who uses a wheelchair. We still have a disability.
What you're getting at is that we're a minority. They're a minority. And the more that you take apart those minorities, the harder it is for us to fight for our rights.
The queer community is already divided. Since the queer community is already divided, I think separating the two is going to make them even more divided and a lot more animosity between queer and T with LGB.
It's a double-edged sword because in one way it's like we don't want to divide too much because we don't want to lose our united front against heteronormativity or whatever. But then at the same time, if we can't teach the nuances of our various identities to a heteronormative society, then it's like, okay, well, aren't you gay, aren't you trans? Like it's all the same thing to them. So I think it's a balance between being all awash and then also noting that we are uniquely made up of all these different experiences.
But I think if we had a stronger community, like that wouldn't be the case. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Like if you don't like me because who I am, I know that my brother right here or my sister right there is gonna like me and they're gonna support me, and that's all I need because it's all about my personal experience and what's in my circle. You don't need to be in my circle, but because it's within my own circle that I'm getting all this, you know, belittlement and hatred. Everyone just wants to be accepted. Honestly, like that's the way it's looked at.
And can't we all, to some extent, identify underneath the Q? Your attraction maybe has shifted in some way to different types of men. Like things are constantly evolving and in my opinion fluid. So
Popolaginek, I told you, somebody is going to have an opinion about the Q. Yeah, and then what? If you don't agree, you're attacking me. And no, I'm not.
Kind of force ourselves even into the LGB is to sit within the binary that doesn't help any of us anyways.
But I think all the Q stuff is just a matter of your personality.
Right.
Like we have so many different labels, and you like this kind of person
Thank
and your
you.
this sexuality when reality goes back to
But it's not
your
a
gay,
function
straight, or
of hetero-
bi,
but
and then
that's
your personality.
But our
And it's
community is
just-
not doing itself any services by categorizing ourselves.
Thank you, A. I'm liking this gay man so much.
Yeah.
And then you see it on the apps, on the profiles. Oh, no fats, no femmes, no this, no that. We're already segregating ourselves.
We
Yeah.
can still be a community while having a better way of explaining what the differences are between the letters. Because, I mean, even in our conversation today, you guys are talking about a lot of anti-LGBTQ legislation. And as if I was a gay person watching, I would think, oh my gosh, like they're coming for my rights, they're coming for my rights. But a lot of times that legislation has to do with the TQ+. And I'm not saying I agree with it. We don't need to go into the legislation on.
This is going to get bad because we're going to talk about kids.
Saying is that the narrative that gay men are being attacked when other letters are, not giving any merit to the attacks, it is confusing and it's harmful to young gay men and their success because they're force-fed this narrative that they can't.
That's totally fair, but there's been over 560 legislation bills put into some sort of vote, right? And over 220 of those have been for transgender. That leaves, what, around 300 plus, not just at the TQ?
I think that there's a lot of nuance when it comes to the laws that we have to talk about, but either way, when you say over 500 LGBTQ+, the distinction between the two gets lost, and I don't think that it's...
Yeah, I care about BLM, but the way that you want to project yourself, I'm like, I don't want to be part of that, man. So don't be like, hey, we're together. I'm like, no, no, no. I don't want to be able to rob and then get out of the prison earlier because the system is against me. No.
One of those laws. I passed one of those laws in Nebraska that protects children under the age of 18 from receiving gender-affirming care and hormones. Because I've seen.
And you're proud of that.
Yes, I am very proud of that.
I am so ashamed of you.
Because I had friends who had their first experience.
I knew it.
Care. Can I finish?
But
can I finish?
We're sitting here
but
with
can I finish?
because you felt as a child.
I'm sure a lot of us
so
disagree with him,
sad.
but let him finish because we both have things
We can
to say.
all talk, but let's let
Because when I
finish.
passed this legislation that you say targets LGBT people, I sat next to a young girl who her first experience with this type of care was a double mastectomy at 15. She's now 19, doesn't know if she'll be able to. It's actually very common because
How common? I want a number. How
Can I
common?
finish?
How common?
Can I
This
finish,
is, you
though?
passed
You're
the law.
asking me a question in the middle of my statement.
You passed a law that affects so many kids from feeling like
Yes, I
themselves.
did.
Transgender
I'm proud
kids.
of my law.
Then I can say to him too, show me the numbers. Show me the numbers.
That's unfortunate, and I'm ashamed
If
of
that's
you
what it's
because...
going to take to get you to stop so I can finish my thought, I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
All right, you know what? I'm going to shut up until you finish, but I would really like to say something when you're done.
Sure. The person that I testified with, who their experience was a double mastectomy.
Let him speak.
Let him finish, let him finish, let him finish,
Are you
let him
gonna
finish.
step in? Like,
Let
can
him
we
finish, let him finish.
People talk.
Okay, that one person was one person in Nebraska, but I know a plethora of
what
other
state do you
people.
live
Let them speak. Conchale, man. I can't stand people that are thinking what they're going to say when I'm trying to speak because they're not listening.
So easy. I know a plethora of people all over the country.
Can we not do this?
We'll
Like,
get
what
it.
is the, can we let them talk?
Yeah.
You're gonna
Thank you, cool black gay man.
get time to talk.
I don't
It's
appreciate
okay.
that.
I know, I'm furious too, but let's
here's
let
the
him
deal.
finish.
No, you're not curious. My ass. Kiss my ass. Well, wait a second.
Pissed off more than you. And he's quiet. Just let him, you're gonna get your point out. Just let him
I'm
talk.
good. Thank you.
Just let him talk.
Okay, let's pause.
You say how many people? You say it's a small subset. But for the people who it affects them for the rest of their lives. A decision they made as a child will affect them for the rest of their lives. This person will never feel their sensation on their chest. They don't know if they're going to ever be able to have a child, and they know they will never be able to breastfeed. They will never be a woman in the regular senses. And this is happening more and more because we're conditioning our young people to say, hey, this is okay, this is okay. You can make these decisions. As a senior in this community, I have to say, wait a second. You guys are kids. Wait till you have your whole lives. Let's talk about this.
Honestly, shame on you for not going after the actual facts.
Imagine you're trying to have a talk. Okay, now it's your turn to listen. are listening, but you know you're not. Come on, man. And such people are passing these laws to snip these people. One snipped? Well, we care about you. You will be happy. Maybe somebody talks something. We don't support the trans people. We don't platform the bad part. No, they don't. They don't tell you the consequences. They don't tell you when you're trying to change your body with a puberty blocker. They give you cancer medicine. They don't tell you might get liver poisoning. You don't know that. Nobody knows that.
I realize your anecdotal experiences move you, and I respect and appreciate that. But let's be perfectly clear. The most permanent thing a kid can go through is puberty, first of all. So when you deny a kid the opportunity to pause puberty, we're just talking, first of all, talking about puberty blockers.
Which straight kids do all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Yes, since the 80s, kids have been prescribed puberty blockers for a variety of reasons. And the law you passed prevents that. So you steal from kids who would like to be able to pause the ability to.
And I had to add this part because I totally forgot. A lot of people that experience dysphoria through puberty, they grow out of it. But hey, some people block it and they stay there.
Fewer than 3% of people who do any kind of transition regret it and go back. Fewer than 3%. Finally, I want to make this very clear. I'm not done. You were so mean to everybody else who want to talk to you. My turn.
How is he mean?
There has been really robust standards of care laid out by all the leading medical associations.
That's why the leading one that does it in Sweden, Finland, Holland, and other European countries are like, something is wrong about this. We need to look into it. But no, you don't know because you watch the things that the algorithms show you.
That has been in existence for a long time, that is science-based about guidelines for these things. But to be clear, the guidelines are very specific about this is supposed to be the parent's decision with their kid, with their medical provider.
Yeah, and these parents, you tell them if they don't proceed with this, they won't exist within a few years.
With their medical provider. What you did was rob all those families of choices. Your opinion, because you believe you know better than science, you know better than parents, you know better than people who even do know themselves, you're going to prevent them from having options because you personally have a problem with something that a couple of people and some other people you're aware of knew. None of them are statistically significant.
Then I can always say, even if you want it to be the parents' choice with the kids, why the heck does California have a freaking gangster law that they can do specific things with the kids behind your back, read books to them behind your back that you can even complain about at the school board? They're reading this. They will arrest you and kick you out. It's plus 18. It's bad for people. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But you can read it in private with my kid? You can confuse my kid without letting me know? And now people want to say, you know what? If my kid changed gender in the school, you need to let us know. Then California sues them. Do you see what's happening? He is talking about parents need to make the decision, but they are doing effort to not tell the parents. And I'm like, come on, man.
Maybe you've got dozens of people you know of. Hundreds. That's a teeny tiny little sliver. You will never know or know of all of these people, and yet you've decided for them, and shame on you for it.
I think we all can agree, though, that even though he's passed legislation, over 18, you don't care what they do.
I don't care what they do.
You're just more so protecting the kids.
He's protecting
that
kids
are
he
going
doesn't have.
His laws more so protecting those kids that are just tomboys, tomgirls.
Thank you.
That are just they're being force-fed this idea like, oh, I'm gay, maybe I'm a girl, and then like they're just like pink. They like are more feminine and it's like, oh, actually transition.
Yeah.
And
I don't think it's that simple.
It is that simple. Tavistock, go to UK or Holland and just search. You will find so many things, okay? People within 2 Zoom calls already decided fada pim pada boom because they were afraid to be a woman in a society because men were looking weird at them. The psychologists, the therapists, everybody, and the doctors, they don't deserve, they're afraid to have opinion. Guess what? Because they can lose their license.
And I just hate that this is such an absolutist discussion on both sides because it's like you guys are like, no, there's nothing. No, don't interrupt me.
I'm not being absolutist.
I'm not being absolutist either.
Okay, but I just
no, you're not.
Okay,
I'm disappointed that someone
can you let me
is
talk,
proud
please?
to sit
Can you
here
let me
and
talk?
pass a law that harms children
I got
when
it.
we know that our
we
queer
know your
community
point.
I'm not being absolute, but somebody is passing law that harms children.
We got it. We know your
is
point.
so harmed already.
All I'm saying is that your guys are not making space for the people who have gone through this process and regret it. I personally know someone in the same situation that you were in. And I'm not sitting here arguing for either side because I think this is a very nuanced discussion. It used to be a 2-year process. Now it's 6 months. Those things are changing because the capital and the motive behind it is now, which I'm sure that you guys...
Which I called out. they are making so much money.
This side are against capitalistic, healthcare. That's pushing it. And those guidelines, yes. There's a lot of money to be made in gender-affirming care.
A lot of money to the doctors who are
1.6 million per child that gets on it. That's throughout their lifetime. That's how much that
there are so many
them.
other things that kids get that make people more money.
I understand that, but
you know what? Well, your kids are gonna have a phone. They're going to see horror, sex, pim pam boom. What does it matter? But they're gonna see it anyway. Just let them watch everything they want. It's okay. I'm like, who are you to be able to say that to my kid?
Leaving any room for nuance in this discussion.
Actually, I would argue that you guys aren't leaving room for nuance because you make a decision.
I never said a statement.
Well, okay, I apologize. And for those of you that I have been mean to, I'm sorry. I love and respect all of you as people.
But here it comes.
I think it's mean.
Nuance is valuable, and that's why we leave it up to the parents and the medical professionals and the individuals who are making these decisions. There are people who get hair plugs and regret it. There are people who get and regret it. There is no such thing.
We don't give hair plugs and nose jobs to kids.
Kids can get nose jobs, can get breast jobs. Of course, kids are getting this all the time.
Oh, he's done. She's waiting on us.
Sorry, I think it sounds like we're not really going to find a middle ground between some of you.
We will have to hug.
But can I actually sort of like wrap it up into a middle ground moment?
Yeah.
Go for it.
I think this is exactly going back to the point of why there is a separation, because it's a very lived, different experience than just being a cisgendered gay man. That was the whole point of the prompt.
Thank you.
Everyone's opinion, no matter like how frustrating it can be, going and attacking people, like it was just a lot. If that was me, like I would be so mad and I would just go off. So, I commend you for really like holding your composure.
And I just want to apologize because that's absolutely right. And I broke my own rule in being fired up in the things I said to you, and I'm sorry. That's not how you deserve to be treated.
There is nothing more annoying than telling somebody that they have a choice, but when they make a choice, some of the options other than one kind of makes you unhappy. But hey, it's the end. Let me know what you guys think about the whole video. But it does show us why, if they can even reach a middle ground and the cis need to help, how the heck can we even understand you to be on the same middle ground than you when you can?